Good morning, fifth graders. Moving on to week 2 on our Unit 2 pathway in English. And today our focus is, or this lesson, our focus is on reading. Now, I really enjoyed this reading today because it's from one of my favorite books. I don't know if you can see up here in the corner. The book is called Crossover. And any of you that are looking for poetry books to read, I would highly recommend this author. His name is Kwame Alexander, but he has a series of poetry / rap books written about sports. So this first one, Crossover, is about basketball. And the short reading we do today is just one little piece that's pulled out of that story, so we can look at it a little bit closer. But then his second one is on soccer, and then his third one is on basketball again. And I know that I had lots of kids that liked reading these last year, lots of kids that liked sports especially, and then surprisingly, a lot of kids realized that they really enjoyed poetry more than they expected they would. So remember, give it a chance. All right, but today we're going to do some work together. All right, so you will need your book, your mentor text, Characters Developing Relationships. All right, and we're on page 12 to 13. So just like it's pictured here, you should see the title, Practice from the Crossover. And feel free to pause this video at any point that you might need a little extra time. Okay, but usually poetry, I like to read it more than one time because the first time I'll get a feeling. Like poetry tends to have some sort of feeling behind it. All right, and then I try to read it again to get more of the comprehension, to really understand what I'm reading. All right, so don't feel bad if you, after we read this together, you want to go back and read it 2 or maybe even 3 times, especially since it's a short piece. It will only help you become a better reader. All right, but while we read it together, we're going to focus on any words or phrases that help us understand where the characters are and what they are doing, right? Because we're trying to form that mental image in our head. So while I'm reading, if you notice any words or phrases that help you understand where the characters are or what they're doing, I want you to underline those. All right, and after we read it the first time, we'll go back, read it again, and I'll share with you how I annotated this text, which might help you. Okay, it's called Practice from the Crossover by Kwame Alexander. Coach reads to us from The Art of War. A winning strategy is not about planning, he says. It's about quick responses to changing conditions. Then he has us do foot drills, followed by 40 wind sprints from the baseline to half court. The winner doesn't have to practice today, Coach says, and Vondi blasts off like Apollo 17, his long legs giving him an edge. But I'm the quickest guy on the team. So on the last lap, I run hard, take the lead by a foot, and even though I don't plan it, I let him win and get ready to practice harder. All right, so we are focusing in on where the characters are and what they're doing. All right, so if you notice, our poetry here is split up into different stanzas. Do you notice that? The 5 10, 15, 20, and 25. And that will help you and I communicate about this poem. Okay, but I noticed in that stanza 5, when I was annotating this text, I underlined footwork drills. And I was just making an inference in my head that the last time I ran any footwork drills, I was in the gym. Okay, so that to me was a clue of where he is. Then in stanza 10, I circled half court. Because half court, that shows me that he must be on the basketball court. And then as we continued reading, I underlined long legs and quickest guy. That helped me paint a picture in my head of what Vondi was like or what he looked like. And then I circled last lap because it made me think they have some sort of track. And since I know they're in the gym, I'm thinking that track might be around the outside of the basketball court. All right, and then the last thing I annotated, I underlined, I let him win. And next to it, I wrote why. Like, why would he let him win? Okay, so feel free to underline or annotate differently than I did, but I wanted to give you a picture of what I was thinking while I was reading. All right. Then our question today that you'll find in Schoology is, why do you think the narrator lets Vondi win? Use details from the poem to support your answer. Right, now there isn't one right answer. Remember, most questions on reading don't have one right answer. Okay. Math? Yes, math has a one right answer, but reading has lots of possibilities. Okay, so I challenge you to think about this. Why would he let Vondi win? All right, because in my head I'm thinking, God, I can tell that this main character loves basketball. Okay, that he is really committed to listening to the coach's words and working hard. And it does make me wonder if he let Vondi win because he didn't care about missing the next practice. Okay, but I am curious to see what you think. And you want to be able to connect this to the poem. You might also connect it to your own personal life. All right, so remember, that's what making an inference means. That you think the main character feels like this because, and use examples from the text, and you think he let Vondi win because, and pull out information from the poem to help back up your answer, or that's called giving evidence or using details. Those are all different ways to say the same thing. All right, I hope you enjoyed. I encourage you to reach out and find this book either at the school library or when we're back to school together.